So it has a beer. Look at that. Peroni, nice and, well, I was going to say nice and cheap. Commoner's lager, but I bought some over Christmas, and it's actually pretty nice. It's quite easy drinking. So this technically is a beer time and a brew time, because I kind of want to, there's like sort of two things I want to discuss. Obviously Christmas and the news, and I kind of thought, well, I may as well roll into one. It's currently Sunday, about 4 o'clock on a Sunday, so I'm going to chill out and drink a beer as opposed to as a brew, mainly because I've got a lot of other shit to deal with in terms of my current living situation. So Christmas was brilliant. As you may or may not be able to tell, I actually have, I'm recovering from a cold, so I was ill over the New Year, which was annoying because that meant I couldn't do anything, I couldn't go out, I didn't do anything for it, so it was really boring, and I stayed in, me and Mum stayed in and watched Jules Holland's Hootenanny, which was really nice and interesting. There's not really anything really in terms of if I bought, I'm just trying to think if I got anything worthwhile tech-wise to really know. I don't think I did, because at the moment I'm kind of currently things on hold for a minute to try and save up to visit New Zealand this year, so hopefully that'll happen. So I'm trying to kind of keep tech purchases on the down low for a minute, and then I've got a load of things planned for the new year. I say the new year because it is the new year. Loads of things planned for this year in terms of reasonably recently. Or reasonably soon even, I should say, for IP Fire and reviews and stuff. There's a few things I need to recap. I need to redo my Optima review. There's a few other ones I need to do. At the moment, though, a lot of the reviews that I've put up have done really well, especially the most recent ones. Rezo Electra review, not so much, but the Sennheiser HD201 review did really well. The Astra reviews have done really well as well, which is great. And I have no doubt that I'll get to 1,000 subscribers this year, which will be really, really fantastic. So that's enough of me whoring about YouTube and what's going to happen. So let's get on to some actual news. So there's really only two bits of news that I kind of wanted to discuss. One of them was actually brought to my attention by somebody else, and that was Battlefield 4 being banned in China. So, which is not really surprising, but basically around about the 28th, 27th, it was just after Christmas happened. It was either Boxing Day or it was a couple of days after that. And China have basically just turned around and basically banned the game. This is after it's come out, this is after it was legal to buy in the country, this is after it was legal to play in the country. And what they've banned is they've banned the sale of it, they've banned updating it. So officially, you can't update it, you can't play the game. Unofficially, you can do whatever the hell you want, and this basically is because China are claiming that it's a national security issue, but really all they're really worried about is the fact that the game kind of criticises them a little bit. It's obviously it's based loosely around a Chinese operative, and it was based in China, and certain elements of it are not necessarily offensive, but they could, because the Chinese are a bit weird anyway. And the Chinese government, I'm not surprised that they've banned it. What I'm surprised is they've taken so long to ban it, and they didn't ban it when it was initially released. Because, the likes of Australia always do, not necessarily bans, but they always say, oh, well, you've got to, either they'll ban the game or they'll say, well, you've got to change it to actually conform to our laws because it's far too graphic and whatever. And it's kind of quite interesting, I guess. It's kind of quite interesting from a Chinese state point of view as to what their my laptop was blown out of his arse for some bizarre reason, as to sort of how they perceive the game to be. Now, Battlefield 4 for me has been generally pretty shit. I've played it. I've played the single player campaign to a point. Then I kind of got bored of it, and I've kind of put it on hold. Multiplayer, I've played a couple of matches, but to be honest, Battlefield 4 at the moment on the PC is a little bit of a mess, which I'm a bit annoyed about because it had a lot of potential. And Battlefield 3 was fucking amazing. It was just great, and it was one of the best things that EA did for PC gaming because it brought a game to the PC that challenged the PC, made PC look amazingly good in terms of graphics, in terms of what it could do, in terms of 64 players, things like that. And because of stuff like that, it made things just amazing. Yeah, so it kind of pushed the bar up in terms of what the PC could do. Both from a networking standpoint, and both from a graphical standpoint and a physics standpoint, and all these little bits, and moving it from Battlefield 2, which really was absolutely amazing when it came. Battlefield 2 was, the game-changing game really when it came to what it could do, and also it was the pinnacle of PC gaming back in the days when more people probably gamed on PCs than they did on consoles. Maybe not. Maybe it's a bit of an exaggeration, but back in the days when the kind of numbers were kind of even, and where you didn't need a massively stupid high-spec machine to actually go ahead and play some games. So currently I'm not playing Battlefield 4, I'm just leaving it on hold for a minute. I'm just kind of... The actual game I'm currently playing at the moment is Euro Truck Simulator 2, only because it's really a chill game. After coming back from Christmas and having a few major incidents at work, I've just sort of been playing that most of this weekend. It's just really nice and chill, and you can kind of talk to people on Skype whilst you're playing, and you can listen to music, and it doesn't really matter. So I've been playing that. Somebody gifted me, Travis on Twitter gifted me, was Agricultural Simulator 2014, I think it is. It's a bit like Farming Simulator. I might do a Let's Play of that. But I kind of want to move away from Let's Plays simply because a lot of people kind of said that my talents are kind of wasted in that, and I know that sounds really arrogant for me to say that, but it's what a lot of people have said, and they said that you'd be better off doing videos that are actually relevant to technology and actually imparting my advice and guidance on shit to other people. So that's kind of what I'm going to try and focus my time on. But it's really difficult to do those videos because it's a lot of thinking. And I know that sounds really, but when you work in IT and when you do that kind of stuff, it's not necessarily the physical aspect of the job or anything like that. It's about the thinking and actually sitting down and thinking hard about it, and that's quite tiring. Especially most of you will know this if you go and do academic stuff. It's really, really tiring thinking all the time. So I generally don't do it because it's just a lazy person's option to go down a Let's Play. Although I always struggle to find stuff to talk about. So that's pretty much Battlefield 4 done. China banning it is interesting. It's not surprising, but I don't know whether they'll lift the ban, whether or not EA will decide that they want to change it slightly for the Chinese market. I don't know. Obviously, that means they're going to lose out quite a lot on customers, or future customers, not necessarily past customers because they've already paid for the game. But yeah, it's really interesting. It is a bit of a shame that EA have kind of fucked up on the initial launch because the servers aren't kind of really sorted, and it's just kind of a bit of a mess at the moment. I've not played it since it was a mess. Still don't think it's been sorted yet, so I'm leaving it I'm just leaving it for a minute, and I'm going to maybe try it in a month's time, which I'm kind of a bit gutted about because I paid full price for it at launch. It's a bit annoying, but there's not really much you can do about that. The other piece of news that came through reasonably recently, which is actually currently on the Telegraph, and you may be able to see behind me, is NSA's quantum computing program, which again isn't really a surprise. So for those of you who don't know what quantum computing is, quantum computing is turning computing on its head and making, as opposed to using a traditional CPU with silicon, it kind of basically uses the effects of quantum theory and physics to kind of create a computer that is stupidly faster than anything that's ever existed before. It's just they're just insane. They're insanely powerful, and there's lots of talk about them using lights and them using a lot of the atomic sort of parts of the atom to kind of compute things. It's very complicated. I'm not going to pretend that I really fully understand it, but basically the NSA are developing their own version of it. People have been trying to develop quantum computing for ages, and for one key reason is basically because for supercomputing, so when you're looking at distributed computing and when you're looking at number crunching, so within academia and so when you're looking at data and you want to really pile drive some data, like things like databases for instance, they need a lot of power. In terms of CPU power and stuff like that, and quantum computing allows you to pretty much just flood it full of numbers, and it allows you to do things really fast, really efficiently, and it's just really good. But as it currently stands, nobody's actually been able to get it to run algorithms and for it to actually be useful. They've created quantum computers, but they haven't been able to get them to actually be useful in any manner, in any way. So the NSA are using this, and the reason they're using this and the reason they're developing for it is for one simple reason, that's encryption cracking. Because if you have a quantum computer, pretty much encryption, as it currently stands today, is going to be pointless, because if you have a quantum computer, you can brute force something, and as opposed to one computer taking like years to brute force a password, for instance, it'll take maybe a day, maybe even less than that, because the computing power behind quantum computing is just insane. So you can kind of just kind of feed a quantum computer a load of numbers and just let it do its thing, and it'll take hardly any time at all. Flip side of that, of course, is that you also will need a quantum computer in the future to create encryption, because if you've got a quantum computer that can kind of crack it, you need a quantum computer that can create it, so that then, well, the quantum computer at the other end is then going to struggle to then decrypt that data. So it is interesting. If somebody manages to find a way of doing quantum computing well and efficient and it works, we kind of do need to worry a little bit. I mean, admittedly, it's the US government that will have this technology. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that third-party malicious people are going to have it. I mean, the US government having it is one thing. They don't need it. Essentially, it's kind of against international law and everything else. During peacetime, we are kind of during a peacetime kind of area. I mean, there are wars going on, but not within ourselves. It's not a war. We're not at world war with anybody. Obviously, there's this war on terror, but that's not really a proper war. And so, yeah, the NSA are kind of putting a lot of I think it's $83 million they're spending on it at the moment, which is about 46. It's roughly about 50 million UK Great British pounds, which isn't that much really when you consider. I mean, how much it will actually take to develop, because it'll take a lot more than that to actually develop a quantum computer that will work. Loads of teams around the world are working on it, and it'll be really good. In terms of quantum computing, will be fantastic for things like number crunching, like databases. It'll be fantastic for things like that. But if they're going to use it for purposes like that, it's then going to it's going to make things a lot more evil, and you don't want to be using that for decrypting stuff. People have encrypted something for a reason. They don't want it to be spied on. Criminals do not make up the majority of things. Most people are generally, okay kinds of people. Criminals are pretty stupid as well, so they probably won't even use proper encryption. The only people that are going to be using encryption is foreign, proper, like, high-rate encryption like that. It's going to be foreign governments, and they don't want people spying on their shit, and that's fine. That's not. The US spying on other countries isn't really. They shouldn't be doing that, and especially when they shouldn't be spying on individuals, because that's essentially what they will be doing, what they have done in the past as well. So that's kind of my news done for a minute. Moving forwards throughout this year, what I want to kind of do is include more people. I want to get, and I know I've mentioned this in the past, but I've not really had much interest, and I kind of want to move it, before I do move it forward and say, right, this is what we're going to do, I need people first. So what I want to try and do is I want to include more people in terms of the beer time kind of element, and the whole reason the beer time kind of existed was it was more of a chill out thing. It was more of me just talking about whatever the hell I wanted to talk about, and I kind of want to get it to be not similar to like Painkiller already or anything like that, PK or any of the other big podcasts that exist, because that's kind of. I don't want to copy that, but basically what I'm going to kind of do is have like a 2 or 3 way conversation with a couple of people. Just talking about technology, talking about general stuff, and maybe it'll last half an hour to an hour. And it's going to be long, but it's not going to be too long that people are going to be. It's not going to be 4 hours long, and people are going to then sit down and watch it for 4 hours, because that's just ridiculous. Because nobody will. But that's what I kind of want to do. That's the kind of the level I want to kind of get to. I've had a few, a few people that are interested in it and they want to get involved on Skype and stuff like that. It's pissing with rain outside. I've just heard that big lashing of rain, and that's kind of where I want to get to. That's kind of the level I want to get up to. And my laptop is blowing out its arse. What the hell are you doing? So yeah, I kind of want to get people on. I can get guests on both IRL and via Skype, via Google Plus, stuff like that. And just to discuss about things. So it's a little bit less one-way conversation with me versus a camera kind of thing. And depending upon how well things go throughout the year in terms of popularity and stuff, I will then travel around the country and maybe meet up with some people to to kind of, talk about some things and record some stuff and upload it and things like that. I mean, one of the great things was things like the IP Fire conference. That was great because that meant that I could create something with more people, more than just one person. And it was really good to have Michael Tremor there to discuss more than just what I usually discuss. Especially in terms of the IP Fire project. And I mentioned the IP Fire project. I've been sent a test unit, and I do need to create a first impressions video and a load of other bits. I was actually going to do that this weekend, but there was a load of kind of personal things I had to deal with. So unfortunately, that sounds really pathetic of me, but unfortunately I haven't actually been able to get around to doing it. So that'll probably be next weekend by the time I get around to do that, or maybe an evening this week perhaps. But I'm going to be a bit busy in the evenings this week, so it'll probably be next weekend. I just want to talk about IP Fire as a project and where it's moving forwards, and also the device I've been sent, which is brilliant. It's a fantastic little device. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss really in terms of that. I'm going to try and create some more technical stuff in terms of Windows Home Server, Windows Server, those kinds of things. I'm going to try and create some more reviews because people really love reviews. Both dedicated subscribers and new people love reviews. So especially when you're looking for specific things, you can't find proper reviews anymore. Nobody seems to do decent reviews. Either they're insanely dishonest and they just say a product's really good and it actually isn't, or they just talk about themselves too much, or they're just scripted and it just sounds shit. So if there's anything specific that I use that you want to me to review, then I'm quite happy to do that. I might do a review of the camera that I currently use. I'm also going to do a behind the scenes kind of segment of me video editing, so I shall show you. It'll probably be quite long, and it'll be basically a recording of me video editing, show you the processes I go through, what I do, what tools I use. It'll kind of be a behind the lens kind of thing. You'll see what equipment I use, and I also might do a room tour, but I do need to have a major tidy up because at the moment my room is an absolute mess. Even more so after Christmas when I had a load of presents that I don't necessarily want now that are now just kind of cluttering up my room. So I do need to have a major sort out, and perhaps looking at maybe getting a little bit more of an organisational rack going. So I've got like a dedicated shelf to put shit. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've not really. This has kind of been a bit of a shit video because I've kind of I just wanted to get a video out there, the first one back in the new year, just to let you know that I am still alive and I'm still doing shit. Help with Christmas and all, and it was kind of quite manic. Well, it wasn't manic. It was kind of just nice to chill out with family and just not really have to worry about anything, not worry about work, not worry about YouTube, just chill. Because this is kind of like, it takes up quite a lot of my time doing stuff like this. So, I think that's pretty much all I need to say. If you've got any questions or queries or anything like that, put them in the comments down below. I'm trying to get somebody's offered to create some graphics for me, so I'm going to try and redo the graphic. Well, I'm not going to try and redo them. Somebody else is going to redo some graphics. But yeah, if you've got anything you want to ask me or anything like that, just put them in the comments down below. Hit me up on Twitter at AsYouChill. Send me an email, asyouchill@gmail.com. And apart from that, I shall catch you in a later video.